Even with the rest of the plant done and dead, seeing this healthy flower here is not the beacon of hope you'd think it would be.
That's because garlic flowers should be long gone by now, and the plant is only dead because it's ready to harvest.
Hardneck garlic is a unique biennial member of the onion family, and it'll flower every time if given the chance. The issue is, it shouldn't. Not if we're growing our garlic with a bulb harvest as the goal.
Today, I've built an experiment 10 months in the making to truly see whether or not hardneck garlic flowers affect the bulb size and the harvestable yields. It's simple, and the data is going to give us a definitive yes or no outcome. So let's get into it.
For many of our favorite crops, flowers are a necessary function of life for us to get a harvest.
Not so the case with garlic. In fact, the mere presence of a flowering stalk on hardneck garlic is thought to prevent you from getting the bulb harvest that you'd expect in the end. Today, though, we test that theory.
I said this experiment was 10 months in the making because that's when this garlic was planted and began its journey. Truly, though, this experiment actually started about 2 months ago with the great cutting of the scapes. The theory behind cutting anything unwanted off a plant is that appendage, be it a flower, a sucker, or whatever, is a drain on the plant's resources. Too much energy being expanded there instead of where we want it, the harvest.
With garlic, it's very apparent that this is a thing just by the sheer size of the flowering stalk and the percentage of its mass as part of the whole plant.
A garlic flower, known as a scape, literally becomes the whole plant. With the sheer size of it, you wonder if the plant will be able to produce a garlic bulb at all.
Which is why we're here today. The garlic is finally ready to harvest, so let's go ahead and dig it up, measure it, and see if there's an actual tangible difference between the bulbs.
The experiment part is actually super easy. I have a couple dozen 10-gallon fabric pots growing porcelain hardneck garlic. A reliable, consistent variety that I planted last fall and I've had great success with over the last 30 plus years. I've got 8 7-gallon fabric grow bags here with 12 plus garlic bulbs in each, plus another 11 pots around the front of the house that are the same size. Lots of bulbs to give us more than enough data. Garlic is such a funny crop in that you harvest it when it basically looks dead and you plant it months before it shows any signs of life. While seemingly dormant over winter, all the action is below ground and it starts to grow its root system over those first few cold months. Sprouting in the spring, all cloves bounded forward with vigorous growth. Scapes began to form in early May, and as all good growers should, they were removed when they started to curl and reached pencil thickness.
Only in this case, I just removed half of them. 12 bulbs per pot, so 6 of the garlic plants were left with their flower stalks intact.
I chose to cut and remove half the scapes in each pot rather than taking them all out in one and then leaving them all in another. I did this to eliminate any errors in the data. If a pot didn't grow well due to factors other than the scapes, then this is going to create an error in the data. This way, no matter what's going on inside the pot, the error is shared between the garlic with flowers and those without.
So the experiment itself is really simple. All I have to do is pull all the bulbs, weigh them, and record the data. It's time to harvest, so let's get to it.
Garlic is ready to harvest when 1/2 to 2/3 of the foliage has turned brown, dried up, and died off. It's those dead leaves that then turn into the outer papery layers of the garlic bulb, giving it its protection for long-term storage. Harvesting is quite easy, and there's nothing to cut and no tools are required. It is advised to not yank on the stems to pull the bulbs up because they could get damaged or even snap. Instead, manually loosen the soil around the bulb while you wiggle that stem back and forth until it loosens. Pulling firmly but carefully, eventually it gives way and the bulb pulls up with ease.
Music, the variety I'm harvesting today, is a small porcelain type that'll never grow a huge bulb. Still, though, there should be a discrepancy between the ones with the flower stalk left on and the ones that aren't. And in fact, after harvesting just a couple, I can already see a difference.
I can't stop and take the time to look at that now, as I've got hundreds of garlic bulbs to pull up. Let's go ahead and make short work of it so we can get to that data. I carefully go through each pot, making 2 piles of the garlic, one with the scapes and one without. The bulbs all pull up pretty easy, and despite the epically long wait and long time to grow this garlic, the harvest is pretty uneventful.
Normally, garlic is not cleaned up and pruned and trimmed until after it's hung upside down for 2 to 3 weeks to cure. I can't wait that long, but I also can't leave the stems, the roots, and the soil on the plant, as that's going to negatively affect my weights and, of course, the data.
I simply have to compromise here. The bulbs don't need the roots to cure properly, so they can definitely be removed. A sharp pair of scissors, and we can simply cut them off right up flush with the bulb itself. This will get rid of all those roots as well as the leftover soil. Easy stuff. Now, as for the stems, I need to cut them all to the same length for the data to be somewhat consistent. I'll make a 12-inch jig and cut those stems all to the exact same length. Thicker and thinner stems will definitely skew the final numbers, but I need to keep some of that stem there or I won't be able to cure the garlic. 12 inches is the arbitrary compromise for today. It's not normally how we treat and cure the garlic, but then again, this is an experiment. The jig is going to allow me to cut every stem to the exact same length quickly and accurately. I got 200 plus garlic to get through, and I don't need this taking all day. With the jig in place, this part of the process goes faster than cutting those roots. Speed is important, yes, but we do have to be accurate. Otherwise, what's the point of the experiment?
With the roots and stems all cut evenly and fair, it's time to go ahead and weigh the garlic and analyze the numbers.
For the garlic with the flowers left on the stalk, I harvested 104 bulbs for a total weight of 2,819 grams. This gives me an average weight of 27 grams per bulb. The largest and heaviest bulb was 39 grams, while the lightest was just 18. Moving on to the garlic grown properly with the flowers cut off, we harvested 112 bulbs for a total weight of 5,030 grams. This gave us an average weight of 45 grams per bulb, with the largest weighing in at 68 grams and the lightest 26.
As expected, cutting the scapes matters. The proof is in the pudding. Now, garlic is never sold by weight, but larger bulbs can certainly command higher prices. Not only that, to get 30, 40, sometimes 50% more growth for simply observing routine maintenance, Well, that seems like a no brainer to me. Speaking of brains, though, that was a lot of information. Let's go ahead and recap the whole experiment to make sure that it makes sense.
In the world of cultivated garlic, there's two types, hardneck and softneck. Softnecks lack the flowering structure, known as the scape, of the former. It's this scape that gets all the attention from hardneck growers, and it appears in the late spring, about 2 months before the harvest. It's widely accepted that this flower is a resource hog. The theory is if it's left on, it'll drain the plant of energy, affecting your bulb sizes and thus your yields. Today, we put that theory to the test. 2 months ago, instead of cutting off all the scapes like a good garlic grower, I only cut off half, leaving the other half intact. Harvesting, cleaning them up, and trimming them all down to a consistent size, I went ahead and compared the weights of all my container garlic. 216 bulbs when it's all said and done is more than enough data to get a definitive answer. The smallest, the largest, the average, and everything in between were significantly larger on the garlic bulbs where the scapes were cut off. The data doesn't lie. If you want to maximize the harvest, bulb size, and yield of a crop that can take 10 plus months to grow, well, you gotta remove those scapes. For the greatest effect, remove your garlic scapes when they start to curl and reach about pencil thickness. Cut them down to where they meet the top set of leaves, easy peasy. Garlic is a very long crop spanning all 4 seasons, yes, but with very little in the way of management for us.
Hopefully, today we proved that those scapes that appear in the late spring do indeed need to be cut to maximize the harvest. The data doesn't lie. Best of luck with your garlic this year, guys. And as always, happy growing, and I'll see you in the next one.